pricing is getting very important again, and I'm going to tell you why. This is Dean Odell with Seven Gables Real Estate in the Odell Group. It is November 2nd, and it is time for another Tustin Talks. We're going to talk about the Orange County market today, so let's get to the charts. We're going to start with the active listing chart like we always do, and then we will make our way to why pricing is so critical again right now. Okay, so let's look at what we have today in the market. 2,406 homes. 2 weeks ago, we were at about the same. Now, we're not really seeing that active listing inventory drop like it normally does. Look at the light blue line. It's almost flat compared to prior years. So does that mean we're going to have more inventory to start the year? Normally, it should be dropping. So let's see how that looks relative to demand. Now look at today's demand, 1,284 homes. 2 weeks ago, 1,335. Now that is going down. So you have inventory holding steady while demand is going down. If we look at that blue line, like we did on the previous slide, you will see that it is acting like it normally does in the season. It's going down. But the issue, possibly, and the reason this market might be changing a little bit is the active listing inventory is actually staying steady, which means more people are coming on the market later in the year than normal. Now let's look at last year. We were at about the same, 1,270, and 3-year average prior to COVID, 2,180 homes. Still a long way away from that. So the question becomes, why are we a long way away from that? Is it because rates are up to 8%? And affordability is just getting crushed? Or is it because there's just not enough inventory out there for people to choose from? Well, still trying to figure that one out, right? So let's go to the next slide. Now we're looking at Orange County expected marketing time. Well, you can see today it's up a little bit from 2 weeks ago. 56 versus 54. Last year we were at 87. If you plug that back into the legend at the top, 60 to 90 days is a slight seller's market. So last year at 87 days, we were in a slight seller's market. At 56 days, we are actually still in a hot seller's market. Now, if we look at that 3-year average prior to 2020, it was at 85 days. So we're still a lot quicker than that. But what's most important is to try to figure out what's going on in your price range, which is why we have the next chart. So if you look at this expected marketing time chart, you're going to see that it's a hot seller's market all the way up to about 1.5 million. You could see the marketing time it takes by price range, how much of the inventory and how much of the demand, and then last year, how long it was taking to sell those price ranges. Now, what's changed since our last Tustin Talks is the slight seller's market has now taken over that $1.5 to $2 million range. That was actually in a hot seller's market the last time. Deep buyer's market territory, 4 to 6 million and 6 million and over, still taken some time to get those properties sold. 175 days, 385 days. And you can see how that breaks down. So what you'll notice is the higher the price point, the slower the market. At least that's how it breaks down for the most part, right? So these interest rates, especially at 8%, you can see how they're going to really affect the higher price ranges because people have to borrow more money and it makes a big difference. So let's go to the next one, which is a very interesting slide on pricing, okay? This explains why it is so important to price right. This was at the end of September because the end of October, it hasn't come in yet, but it's probably even more so important after the last 30 days because these interest rates are really starting to take effect on the buyers. The buyers are really holding back from making offers unless they see it priced properly to begin with. So if you go down to that bottom of that chart where it says no reduction, that means the seller never had to reduce their price to get an offer and to get their property sold. Now, when they didn't have to do that, there was enough buyer demand out there to drive the price up to 100.2%, which the reason you see that same number side by side is because there was no reduction, right? So basically from the list price was 100.2 more, so over the asking price. And it only took 8 days to get those properties sold. Now go back to the top of the chart. This is where people have overpriced their homes by 5% or more. And you can see that that made up 9% of the sales. And when that happens, take a look at the sales to last price ratio. Instead of 100.2, it's 95. You're having to take 5% off, right? But here's the problem. Before you get to sell that house and realize 5% off the price, you have to look at the next column over, because that next column over actually says you're getting 84.7% of the original price that you put on the property. So in the end, you're actually netting less. It's taking you more days on the market. You could see 64 days. And then if you look at the price reductions in the middle, 1 to 4%, you can see how that lays out. So what is this telling us? What's this telling us? And of course, a lot of people out there, they think, oh, well, the real estate agents, they want to price my property too low, or they want to price it aggressively because they just don't want to work. They just want to have a quick sale. But what this proves to a seller is that if you price your property properly to begin with, you're going to get more money in a shorter time. I'm going to talk more about this slide in my seller's advice. So let's move forward to where I do give you guys some advice, both buyer and seller, for the market conditions we're seeing out there. Okay, buyers. Well, I'll tell you what, not only have we been working with some of you buyers out there, but we've been working with our sellers as well. We can really tell a difference. You guys are digging in, and understandably so. And that all goes back to the advice I've been given for a while now, which is, you know what? Don't get FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. You don't want to do that. And you guys, from what I'm seeing out there, are doing a good job, and we're trying to explain to the sellers why you guys can't go higher because of interest rates, this, that, and the sellers are getting it, So it's just a matter of bringing you guys together. Just be patient. Starting to see a little bit more inventory hang on the market, which is good. We're still a far cry from normal inventory levels. And just remember, if you're buying anything right now, things are high, it's expensive, you got interest rates are expensive. So if your sole purpose is, I want to make money on a house and sell it in 2 or 3 years, I'm going to tell you right now, not the time, okay? If you want to sell a property in 10 years, 15 years, or be like the average Orange County person that stays in their house 22 years, it's not going to matter. It really isn't, right? I was just talking to a guy the other day that bought his house right at the top of the market for like in the 600s. Well, that house is worth $1.3 million now. You know what I mean? So it's like, that was back in 06 that he bought it, 07, and now, look where we are, 16 years later, the guy's fine, right? So that's how you gotta be as a buyer right now. Gotta be buying for the long term. Okay, sellers, we are definitely seeing a change in the market, just like I explained on the buyer's advisory side. I think the most important thing for you guys is to understand that the chances of this market really putting much more equity in your pocket is getting very, very slim, okay? Just everything's working against the sellers right now for prices going up. I mean, now you're actually seeing inventory start to increase. We're getting job layoffs you're starting to hear about now. I'm certainly not preaching doom and gloom. All I can say is we're very lucky we're in Orange County. I mean, other markets in the country are rolling over big time. Prices are dropping. Some of these markets are markets that we have traditionally followed. Not saying it's going to be that way this time, but sellers, you've had it really good since about 2011, 2012. So don't be surprised if the market moves out of your favor a little bit in the next year or two. So in the meantime, you want to get that house ready for the market. You want to be advised on how to price it, what's best for you. I know we do it better than anybody out there. I'm very confident in that. So let us put all our experience to work for you. Give us a call. Buyers, same thing for you. Got a great group of agents. We'd love to help you out. Reach out. We'll talk to you on the next Tustin Talks. Thanks.